We're getting everybody. A little sideways, but
We all went to school. We all had that one teacher that was amazing, or the one we really hated, or we at least had one that changed our lives a little bit. Now imagine, you never get that. You have a new teacher every day, it's always a sub, and some days you don't have a teacher at all. That's the future our children have to look forward to if the teacher shortage isn't fixed. We're here today to talk about the teacher shortage and some of its causes. We'll look at the lack of financial support, the lack of intervention and support, especially for the special needs and disruptive children. And we'll look at the lousy pay and the benefits that we receive. So where else better to find information on this than at its source? I interviewed several teachers and have a little first-hand experience myself on why this is an issue. First, let's look at financial support. This isn't our pay, this is what we get to help the children that we already have. Ms. Curl in occupational therapy says that almost all of her classroom is given to her through DonorsChoose.com. She has to plead for the kids to get help, and when they do, they need more. They need more curriculum, they need more time, and they just need more assistance, and it's not there to give them. According to Kutztown University, the lack of resources stresses staff and students, and when staff is stressed and students are stressed, so are the parents. This doesn't just affect the people at school, it affects the people at home too. Not only does it make it difficult for teachers to continue, but it makes it hard for them to ask other people to join them. So let's break it down. The average classroom spends $212 yearly, or receives $212 yearly to build their class. This is any accessories, this is any supplies, prep for the classroom, and according to adoptateacher.org, the average teacher spends $950 a year. That is $740 out of pocket every year for every teacher. We started with funding, now let's look at the actual support that they receive. Not only are we severely understaffed, but there's a major lack in intervention, especially the special ed kids. This leaves teachers to deal with not only situations they're not trained for, but for their other 20 students to have to deal with it too. It makes it harder to deal in the classroom, and it makes teachers less likely to return the next year. I personally know several that did not this year. Jeanette Curl says, staff shortages do affect how everyone can do their jobs. Everyone is pulled to cover in other areas, and the first ones to lose service are the special education students. Ms. King says she does not feel supported with intervention help. She quotes, many of my students in my classroom have needs that I do not have the resources to support. She even mentions that administration helps as much as they can, but there just isn't enough help. So is there proof of this shortage? If you go to Meade County's website right now, you can see the jobs that they have open. Meade County has 13 jobs just in education alone. This isn't cafeteria, this is just the teachers. Jefferson County, while it is much larger, has over 100 positions just in education. So what really is the root cause here? It's pay. Meade County starts teachers at about under $40,000 a year. According to Northeastern University, the average bachelor degree starts at $65,000 a year. You can't support a family or even yourself on just that $40,000 coming out of school. And we always hear teachers work less, we get summers off. And so that is kind of true. It isn't comparable. But if you break it down hourly, you see that that $65,000 a year at 260 days a year for the other bachelor's degrees, for 8 hours a day, that would be about $31 an hour. Teachers, they're $40,000 a year, and 180 days that they work at 8 hours a day is $27 an hour. That's not a huge difference. But let's look at what teachers actually work. According to the Washington Post, teachers work on average 10 hours and 40 minutes a week. Put that into the equation, that's $21 an hour. That is a big difference. Is that worth your 4-year degree? So I encourage you to at least imagine that you get that $40,000 to say understaffed and underfunded. Our topic today was on the teacher shortage, and it is a huge problem. We dove into the lack of financial aid, understaffing and support, and the lack of wages. So as you send your kids to school tomorrow, or you just get stuck in that morning and afternoon traffic, imagine that that's no longer an issue. Imagine that the kid that just started working with you has no real education. He can't solve problems. He can't even do his job. Imagine that public school is no longer a thing because there's no one left to teach it. Thank you.